PDX Tony, hey, can you guys comment on the kind of strong impression that AOC is just being weird with regards to Bernie? She seems to show more support for Warren over him the last couple of months. What's up? Let me just say, broadly speaking, I think that there's another thing that with Anita we have to thread between, Sam has a very much an attitude of like, it's not personal, it's just policy. I think there's a big limit to that, frankly, because part of what makes you able to determine whether someone will follow through in the policy they're professing is to have some understanding of who they are and what they're coming from. And I know that Sam agrees with that. So we know that we know that out of the gate, most of the people saying all of the people besides Bernie Sanders saying they were for single payer were, being some version of not totally truthful. So I see with AOC, and I'll answer your question in a second. I see there's a certain tendency to be very early on, she's not good, she's selling out. I reject that. Then there's another tendency of just like kind of stand culture with her, that she's not subject to discussion. And this is another, when I keep talking about, stupidities in the left and things that need to be changed, there's a lot of people that either have cancel or stand culture, and both of those cultures suck. Okay. They're both ridiculous. The idea of this kind of like cleansing cult cancel stuff, trash, repulsive, get rid of it. And then on the other hand, paradoxically, I think because in some ways it's so either or, it is like a stan on the other extreme. And you can't, so look, AOC has been not great on Bolivia and Venezuela as an example. Substantively not great. I think with regards to Warren and Sanders, here's what I would say. As a surrogate, I think it's great she endorsed Bernie. I think she's been helpful. I think, frankly, also there's another thing that people need to get a little bit more real about. She's a rock star in a specific world. So there was a much broader set of people that we hopefully needed to get out for Bernie, and has been another kind of tricky thing with the campaign. But it's great she endorsed him. It's, it definitely provided a great boost. It's awesome she did it. I will say that I think people also have to realize the political calculations go both ways. And if she didn't endorse Bernie, there would have been a lot to pay politically. So it wasn't, it was the right thing to do, and it was the smart thing to do. I think that all of them, and Ilhan obviously was sort of different and put some stuff out about Warren, but they're surrogates. And the last several months, they don't do what someone like me, I do. Of course, they could be, infinitely more polite, but every single Bernie Sanders surrogate should have been saying very clearly for months that, Warren should drop, and just being clear on the differentiation. So I think when Warren goes on Saturday Night Live and does this kind of incredible narcissism at a point of crisis, sure, it's just a joke. It's not the biggest deal in the world. I get that, people have their own ways of, sure, okay. But no, it's actually pretty disgusting. Yeah,
it was like a real let them eat cake moment as far as I'm concerned.
It was totally a let them eat cake moment. And it was also like a in a way it's even worse, because let them eat cake is sort of, there's a certain honor to it, because you're just saying it is what it is. I'm just an asshole. But with Warren,
you're addressing the problem at hand.
Let me self-care while Rome burns. Yeah. And so I think that, I said, and AOC was like, oh, this is epic. And I said, I just respectfully, I don't normally do this, but I just tweeted. I just said no, gave her the prayer bow.
Wait, what did she say?
She said, okay, this is epic. And,
to what?
To Warren's Saturday Night Live thing.
Geez, really?
Yeah.
God, I didn't know that.
It's not. Look, again, no, I want to we'll open it up, but please take the problems with Venezuela and Bolivia much more serious than this. But there is a tendency, and I think, as much as I think people got, this whole idea of pushing people to the left and accountability can get very ridiculous, particularly in the context of a presidential campaign. I think for a congressperson who's very new in their career and has incredible talent and capacity, but is also super young, has also made some mistakes, like every human being makes mistakes.
Maybe has terrible taste in television.
Maybe has bad taste in television, whatever. Maybe has some bad instincts. Maybe has some great instincts. I think that, do not demonize, do not be ridiculous. But I think like when I see people just go, oh, 2028 AOC, like, no, like guys, like this is actually a part where being intelligent and constructive and interacting with somebody will actually help them, not to mention, yourself if you care about an agenda.
What 2028 AOC looks like from my perspective will depend a lot about what kind of other Congress people get put in by the left in the meantime. Like we need as long as she's like one of the top 4 farthest left Congress people, she's going to have room to basically fold on some of this.
She's going to have room to triangulate. And also, guys, like, she is not nationally popular. Now, is that because there is a Republican war on her? Absolutely. But there's going to be a Republican war on everybody. And when I see people say like, oh, well, it's just obviously her, I see signals from her that maybe they're not picking up on that are worth looking at. And I also see, again, outside of the bubble, like, I don't know, because look, one of the things with Bernie, like, Bernie would not be where he was and would not stand a onslaught of 5 years, like just every type of demonization and attack if he wasn't actually basically popular. And some folks think that just because somebody has a certain left cred, but they're liked on The View, that equals universal popularity. But that equals maybe some bridges within part of constituencies of the Democratic Party at most. There's huge swaths of the electorate and social bases that doesn't cover.
Well, I think it's a problem that there are so few successors to choose from, right? Because the left-wing movements within electoral politics have a succession problem all over the world, not just here. We've seen it in Latin American countries, and I don't know totally why that is, but it's something the left needs to reckon with. Also, I just want to say, like, if that's the only reason you think AOC is like supporting Warren, she tweeted about SNL, like maybe reevaluate.
No,
like,
it's not just no. It's I mean she hasn't, and this could be a problem with the Sanders campaign. Like definitely saying, look, a month ago saying, hey, single payer might not happen anyways, and we'll compromise. That's a very bad timing at a point where you're literally making, regardless of whether or not that turns out to be true, you're making a very clear differentiating argument on it with Warren. That's super unhelpful. Warren, starts to personally attack Bernie and use Republican talking points. No, all surrogates, including prominent surrogates, absolutely should not be, gassing up Warren at that point. Sorry, no.
That's very disappointing to hear. I saw her speak at the Bernie Sanders rally in New Hampshire, and she was amazing. She was so persuasive. I mean, she was a good speaker to begin with, but she's clearly been taking some notes on watching Cornel West and Nina Turner. She was so inspiring. So, I mean,
She got plenty of talent.
I know it's like a delicate dance to do. I think there's one strategy, like what Sam was talking about, where the left wing, the social democratic wing of the Democratic Party should be building bridges to the more left liberal wing. I think maybe that's what she's trying to do. There's another strategy that says that they shouldn't do that. And in fact, left liberalism is sometimes the last line of defense against social democracy or something even further to the left. I honestly don't know who's right.
I think even regardless of the ideological stuff, it's a campaign and there's a job to do. And you don't gas your opponents up during a campaign. And this is one of the reasons why this whole fantasy, ridiculous, embarrassing unity message from the beginning was, I mean, I don't like to use this term ever, particularly not for politics, but it was gaslighting. It's just not, I mean, funnily enough, if ever there was a zero-sum game, elections would be it. And in terms of the adult real world, you can hack into somebody during an election and then you can cut a deal with them later or work with them later or campaign with them later. During an election, when somebody is attacking your candidate at the barest of minimums, you don't say good things about them. And that is, again, that also, like, the Sanders campaign was not nearly structured enough with its surrogates. They should have been vetting speeches. They should have had talking points for everybody. I mean, look, that's politics. That's unavoidable, even if you're running a different kind of campaign. That stuff actually matters. You're calling from a 347 area code. Who are you?